Page 29, Magic Carpet Ride. On page 28, they're introducing you to arpeggios. I've already asked you to start doing arpeggios. I have videos on them. Go do that, what I say in the video. And believe it or not, people don't agree on what an arpeggio is. Can you imagine that? Generally speaking, as I understand them, an arpeggio is simply a certain type of broken chord pattern. It's where you're playing the chord from bottom to top or top to bottom. Or it's an arpeggio. An arpeggiated chord is that. Whatever the chord is. I don't know. I don't care what the chord is. Doesn't matter. And you can Google it and you can get into the debate on just exactly what is an arpeggio. But to me, an arpeggio, if it doesn't use this pattern, is not an arpeggio. And Magic Carpet Ride uses arpeggios. Well, if you're doing the arpeggios, like I asked you to, you'll be able to sight read something like this because you're used to playing them. If you're doing them 2 octaves, you need to be able to do them at least 2 octaves to do this. So let's talk Magic Carpet Ride. It's 1 page long. It's longer than that because of DC Alfini and all, but it's 1 page of music to deal with. Treble bass clef, 1 flat in this key signature, so it's either an F major or D minor. If we look at the end, it ends on an F or a D with a D minor chord, probably D minor. But do the scales and arpeggios for both, F major and D minor. 6/8 time explains all the eighth notes. Right hand, this is just an arpeggio. 1, 2, 3. And I explained in the arpeggio video about this. If you're doing that tremolo exercise like I asked you to, this becomes less awkward over time. You have to turn a little bit. Don't turn a lot. You don't need to. I've seen people do that. They raise. Please don't. Here, just stay relaxed. If you'll relax, the thumb will move if you'll just relax. Here, you can come across. Yeah, that's all we're doing. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. This is D minor, okay, that's the key, D minor, okay, 3rd line down we're in F major. It's the same feeling physically, but it's just different notes. Okay, left hand, just block chords, yes. And then 2nd line, oh goody, we get it here. I like this fingering, that's it. And then 5/7 chord. This chord, that is, you don't need the natural sign, it is anyway, but it doesn't hurt, I guess. Okay. The last line is the F major, 5/7 and F major. 1, 5/7 for D minor, come back to D minor. See, it works well when you go from the major, minor, whatever, when it's the same key signature. So I can go from D minor to F major to D minor to F, however much I want, and it just harmonically it sounds okay. They fit well together. Just the chords, you have to think, which chord am I, which key am I in? Is this a 1 chord or a 5/7 chord, or which key? Because in the last 2 lines, the chords are for F major. So at the end, those 2 chords, that's F major, 5/7 1 in F major. But then you come to here, now we're going back into D minor, because that's the 5/7 for D minor. Remember, a 5 chord, 5/7, generally leads into whatever it's 5 of. This is a 5/7 of D minor, so it's going to lead into the D minor chord. Yeah. Then I put the hands together. It was not too bad, because you're only doing 1 hand at a time. 2nd line, 3rd major here. The chords is just 8th notes. And then you get a dotted quarter note. Remember, a dotted quarter note is the same as 3/8 notes in any time signature. So here it's going to get 3 counts. You gotta hold it down there. Now in the last measure of the 2nd line, you're here. And then the right hand, treble clef, you come over, while you're holding that down, come over and play the D. That's all it is. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And then the fermata, you just hang on that for a while. If I play it with a metronome, I'll just hold that for 3 extra counts, or 6 counts instead of 3, and then let go. So I stay with the metronome. You can do it however you choose to, or however your teacher tells you to. Now, once I have the hands working together, then I'll go back over it slowly and gradually get rid of the hesitations. And once those are gone, I think about the articulation, and this is just connected. You have to lift up for the rest. That takes care of it. As far as the phrasing goes, yeah. Then the dynamics, and that's going to go to whichever hand has the 8th note running part. This soft, very soft. A little louder, moderately loud here. Soft. Yes. Moderately loud down, moderately soft. And now on the first and second endings, let's check this. At the first ending, there's no repeat sign, so you're not repeating it. They have a note to next strain. You don't need the note. The fact that there's no repeat sign tells you you're going on. And you don't play the second ending until the second time, so you can't play it yet. So you immediately pass the ending and go on, which means you're playing the next line. So it's here. So going on to the third line. And it's soft. So. And you're soft. A little louder, moderately loud. Not here, but here. And come down. And the DC Alfini sends you back to the beginning to do it again. The second line, then you do the second ending, and you got it. Okay. And after the dynamics, I think about the speed. That's going to be based on how quickly and accurately can you play these arpeggios. However, how fast can you play those? That's going to be your moderately allegro. Then after that, they've added pedal. Isn't that delightful? I like it better without pedal, but they've added it. And really all we're doing here is just kind of a special effect. You're just giving the overtones to the arpeggios. I'm going to push the pedal down pretty quick because I'll lose the note. If I'm too late pushing it down, I won't catch the first note. So I got to do it down pretty quick. And then I'm going to lift it up as I play the E in the third measure. And same thing. In the second line, third measure, you lift it up on beat 2. 1, 2. And that's how the pedal's working throughout. And you don't have to play this fast. I put in a retard at the end. I felt a retard. I stuck it in there. There's nothing to say to. You don't have to, but I did. So there. And they're pedaling the last measure. They're the second ending here. The idea is we want all the sound. We want all the notes. We want all of these. And if we don't pedal it, we lose it. Here. So we want them. We have to pedal to keep them. There we're pedaling. The pedal helps us hang on to the notes that we can't hang on to with the fingers. It's another reason to pedal. They put in a writ, an RIT in the second ending, but I think the writ really belongs to the 8th notes, right in front of the first ending. I want a retard there, so I retard there. But it would be dangerous to put the writ there because then you think you're going to retard the first time also. No, you only retard at the end. But I would put the writ in front of the G. See, music gives you an idea of what it should sound like. And when they put in the articulation and dynamics and speed and pedaling, they're giving you an idea of how to interpret it, but it never tells you everything. You have to add the interpretation, the more to it, the natural accents. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. You add that, I'm exaggerating so you can hear them, but you feel these natural accents as you go through here. And retards and things like that, if you feel it, stick it in there and see. Some music it works well. Some music you got to be careful about. In classical music, a lot of times you're not going to retard unless it tells you to. But in stuff like this, I think it's great. If you feel a retard somewhere, stick it in. Don't lose sight of the beat. Because if you lose sight of the beat, then it just sounds like you can't keep a beat.